Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Guys, I'm speaking as Tim Mosso here, not as the 1916 Company. But for me, this is Olympus. This is my Grail watch. This is my exit watch. This is my favorite watch of all time. This is my favorite version of my favorite watch. The Bethune DBD was originally launched in 2006. 39 examples were made, of which 17 were in white gold. The rest were rose gold. Of the 17 made in white gold, only 9 had this anthracite-colored dial. So 9 pieces in the world made almost 20 years ago, and even in the modern era, this remains one of the rarest Bethune models. From the 39 originals, there were an additional 13 Season 2 models made in 2022, along with 20 titanium-cased forest green versions made. So every single version of this watch in existence, spanning almost 2 decades, 72 pieces. Now, how does it fit? Well, quite well, actually. There are other Bethune watches I've loved, but then lost, realizing I couldn't wear them because they were too big. DB28 Digitale, I'm looking at you. But this DBD, the DB Digitale, is 42.6 millimeters across, 14.8 millimeters thick at its thickest, and then if we measure it from lug to lug, it's actually only, ready for this? 46.2 millimeters from lug to lug, so 42.6 wide, and then 46.2 lug to lug. It almost wears like a square on the wrist. Throw in the white gold watch on my wrist. You can see how well it wears. Look at how far inboard the edge of my wrist the case is. Even from over the top, which exaggerates the width of a watch, you can see that the edges of the case are still inboard of the edges of my wrist. And while it's not thin, it's not obnoxiously thick. There's a lot in this watch, and we'll talk about why it is as thick as it is. But it's got a very gratifying weight to it. The newer watches are made of lightweight materials. The 2022 versions of the DBD, they are made of lightweight materials. This is gold, and my gosh, ain't it great? The heft, it feels like money. All right, the strap. The strap here is proprietary, so it's a Bethune factory strap made by the company's OEM supplier, Jean Rousseau of Paris. And you know it's the good stuff because you have gator on both sides. Large, symmetrical, rectangular scales on the top, the most expensive cut of the beast. Semi-gloss, we've got a monotone stitch, we've got a sheer cut edge that's lacquered for refinement, and then round scale on the bottom. And the idea here is that this creates a much more durable, longer-lasting strap. No crimping, no gouging. It's worth a few $100s more to buy like this, and this is how the Bethune factory straps come today, double gator. And this is why I say it's proprietary, because you have this clamped junction that involves backing screws and a backing plate. So, taking a quick look, exactly like the other side, only here we have a hinge lug. The idea here is that, first of all, we're starting to move away from the conventional cases of the early Bethune watches of 2002, 2003, and 2004. So we've still got something very similar to a conventional lug down at the bottom, but now we're starting to look at different types of lug junction and articulation, which would become a theme on later Bethune watches. The idea of this design was to channel pendant watches and pocket watches. So Denis Flageolet, who's the co-founder and to this day the watchmaking lead of Bethune, wanted to pay tribute to that type of watch with this watch's design, and mission accomplished on that front. There are other inspirations we'll talk about in a moment, but externally, think pocket watch, think pendant watch. We have a buckle here that is a relatively simple one by Bethune standards. You can see it's internally hallmarked, which is a sign of the age of this watch, back when they were doing those kind of quirky internal hallmarks on the inner faces of the buckle rather than simply the underside. You can see the underside is media blasted and Bethune branded. Taking a look at the case, you can see there are pusher adjusters for the calendar system, as well as for the case back moon phase. Now, this is the big difference between the 2006 original version of the DBD and the versions that came out in 2022. Those don't have a moon phase. They feature a display case back over the movement. And some people are happy to make that trade because they could see the caliber. I actually like this. The patented spherical moon phase is 2 different materials. It is white palladium and blued steel. They both start white. They're fixed together to create the sphere and then fired over a bed of metal shavings over an oil lamp. Yes, Aladdin style. And then the steel half turns blue, while the palladium, which will not oxidize, remains white. Now, it is a 122-year adjustment interval, and you can see that it is spherical, and it rises substantially above the fired titanium plate representing the night sky. I mentioned this watch is purposefully thick. This is one of the reasons. You can see some of the constellations here as well. It is a disc of titanium, mirror polished and then fired. You can see on the reverse side, we've got the hallmarks. We've got all of the marks still deep and crisp. This watch is all original metal. Taking a look at the dial side, you can see the case is a monoblock, which means everything loads through the back. The bezel and the case are all one piece, so there's no seam between them. We have these ogival style lugs, a de Bethune styling trait that's been featured on almost everything except maybe one edition of the Dreamwatch series, no, 2 editions of the Dreamwatch series, and then some of the early DB20 series watches, but all the others have at least a hint of these little bullet tip lugs, the last styling vestige of the original de Bethune product, which was the DB1 chronograph of 2002. On the dial side, we're paying homage to certain digital time and calendar watches made in the first third of the 20th century by Breguet, Cartier, Audemars Piguet, and others. That's from whence Denis Flageolet has drawn his inspiration. You can also see that although it appears to be a dial, it's actually part of the movement, as we have set gems representing the pivot points of the discs underneath. We also have a de Bethune nameplate, which has been cut, beveled, fixed by screws, satinated, and lacquered. What we have on the dial is an ardoise or anthracite-coated Côte de Genève. This is not Côte de Bethune, and as you could see, the stripes are identical all the way across. That's why these are Côte de Genève and not Côte de Bethune, which are mirrored from side to side. This is a simple calendar, which means you adjust it 5 times per year, unlike an annual, which is 1 adjustment per year, or a perpetual, which is generally never going to require adjustment. We have this lovely distinctive crown with several different types of knurling. It is a screw-down crown. The watch is 30 meters water resistant, but I recommend you not test that theory. Of course, I can make adjustments to the time and enjoy the jump hour, which is a great pleasure for me. And you can see how the calendar jumps along with the hours, though you can use the pusher adjusters on the flanks of the case. Inside, we have a de Bethune manufacture movement manual wind, and this caliber has 2 barrels, and though rated as a 6-day power reserve at the time, I believe that with the moon phase, the digital calendar, and the jumping hour, a reality is more like 4 to 5 days for this caliber. I think de Bethune was being a bit exuberant when they specified 6 days of reserve. But one nice thing is, with the twin self-adjusting barrels, this is a manual wind movement. You cannot accidentally overwind it. It beats away at 4 hertz, and it features a earlier version of de Bethune's patented balance wheel, which is now 10 iterations deep and always revised by Denis as he comes up with a better idea. This is one of the non-annular balance wheels, which is a titanium wheel with platinum masses, and it looks like 2 crossed yokes, and it was an important springboard forward, less susceptible to temperature-induced timing drift, and also helping to minimize the effects of aerodynamic drag on the balance, as well as maximizing the total percentage of mass at the edge of the balance wheel. There's also a hairspring of Denis' own design. Regular hairspring is cut into 2 pieces. They're shaped by hand, clamped back together to ensure that it breathes concentrically in any position like an overcoil, while remaining thin and flat and shock resistant like a flat hairspring, which is very, very cool. This is called the caliber 2044, so it's got the triple parachute shock protection system, the patented balance wheel, the patented self-adjusting barrels, the patented hairspring curve. It all pivots on 31 joules with jump hour, inline calendar, and a 122-year moon phase, requiring only 1 adjustment every 122 years. In other words, there is a lot to love. A very special watch, so close to my heart that if I could bury the hatchet be done with collecting and just say, this is where I'm going to stake my claim and be finished forever and forego the first 7 to 10 years of retirement, it would be this guy right here. This is my exit watch. This is my grail. It won't be my Olympus, but it could be yours. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.